It was a chilly evening in late autumn, and the small town of Maple Grove was settling down for the night. The streets were quiet, and a soft breeze rustled through the trees, sending the last of the golden leaves drifting to the ground. In the heart of town, a small cottage sat at the end of a cobblestone lane, its windows glowing with the light of a crackling fireplace. This was the home of Mrs. Evelyn, the town's beloved elder, who was known for her warmth, her tea, and her stories. Inside, little Emma sat curled up on a large, overstuffed armchair, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes wide with anticipation. She had been looking forward to tonight for weeks, an evening with Mrs. Evelyn, who always had the best stories to tell. The old woman sat across from her in a rocking chair, knitting slowly, her silver hair glowing in the firelight. "Are you ready for a story tonight, Emma?" Mrs. Evelyn asked, her voice soft but full of life. Emma nodded eagerly. "Yes. But, can it be a real story? Something that really happened?" Mrs. Evelyn smiled and set her knitting aside. "Ah, a real story, you say? Well, I have just the one for you." She leaned forward, her eyes twinkling. "Have I ever told you the story of the first time I ran my little tea shop?" Emma shook her head. Mrs. Evelyn's tea shop was famous in Maple Grove. People from all over came to taste her delicious tea blends and pastries, but Emma had never heard how it all began. "Well, Mrs. Evelyn began, it was many, many years ago. I was just about your age, maybe a little older, when my grandmother passed away and left me her tea shop. I had spent my whole childhood helping her there, watching her make the most wonderful teas and treats. But when she was gone, I wasn't sure if I could run it on my own." She paused for a moment, her fingers brushing the edge of the blanket on her lap. "It wasn't easy. The day I reopened the shop, I was so nervous. I remember waking up before the sun, pacing around my tiny apartment above the shop, wondering if anyone would even come." Emma leaned forward, already engrossed in the story. "But they did come, right?" Mrs. Evelyn smiled. "They did. But not at first. That morning, I set out all the chairs and tables, brewed the tea, and made my grandmother's famous lemon scones. And then I waited. And waited." She chuckled softly. "For hours, the shop stayed empty. I began to think that maybe I had made a mistake, that maybe the town didn't need me the way they needed my grandmother." Emma frowned. "That sounds so hard. What did you do?" "I almost gave up," Mrs. Evelyn admitted, her voice gentle. "I was ready to close the shop early that day, but then, just as I was about to blow out the last candle, the bell over the door jingled." Emma's eyes widened. "Who was it?" "A woman named Clara. She was new to town and had been walking by when she saw the shop. She came in, sat down, and ordered a pot of tea and a lemon scone. I'll never forget her smile when she took her first sip. She said, 'This tastes like home.'" Emma's face softened. "That must have made you feel better." "It did," Mrs. Evelyn nodded. "Clara didn't know it at the time, but her simple words gave me the courage to keep going. She stayed for a while, and before she left, she told me she would bring her friends the next day. And she did. Word spread, and soon the shop was full again, just like when my grandmother ran it. Emma beamed. So that's how the shop became so famous. Mrs. Evelyn laughed softly. In a way, yes. But it wasn't about becoming famous, you see. It was about connection. People didn't just come for the tea, they came because they felt welcome. My grandmother had a way of making everyone feel like they belonged, and I realized that's what I wanted to do, too. She paused, her eyes softening as she looked at Emma. Running the shop wasn't about doing things perfectly or making the best scones. It was about creating a place where people could feel at home. And that's something I learned from my grandmother, and from that very first customer. Emma sat quietly for a moment, absorbing the story. I think you do that really well, she said after a while. Whenever I come here, it feels like home. Mrs. Evelyn smiled, her heart warm. Thank you, my dear. That means more than you know. The two sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the fire crackling gently in the background. Finally, Mrs. Evelyn leaned back in her chair, picking up her knitting again. Now, she said, would you like to try one of my grandmother's famous lemon scones? I made a fresh batch this morning. Emma's face lit up. Yes, please. Mrs. Evelyn laughed and slowly rose from her chair, heading to the kitchen. As she returned with a plate of warm scones, Emma felt a deep sense of comfort, knowing that some stories, like the warmth of the fire and the taste of a homemade treat, could make even the coldest night feel cozy and full of life. Let's learn some words from the story. Engrossed. Meaning, fully absorbed or captivated by something. Example, Emma was so engrossed in Mrs. Evelyn's story that she leaned forward, eager to hear more. Crackling. Meaning, making a series of small, sharp sounds, often used to describe a fire or something burning. Example, the fire was crackling in the fireplace, filling the room with warmth. Jingled. Meaning, made a light ringing or tinkling sound, like small bells. Example, the doorbell jingled as Clara entered the tea shop for the first time.